Good evening, and welcome to the Prince Hall Think Tank, a monthly conversation amongst Prince Hall Freemasons where we discuss topics relative to craft masonry. My name is Brother Antonio Caffey, and I'm a very proud past master of St. Mark's Lodge number 7, which is located in Columbus, Ohio, where Brother Shimon Stone serves as worshipful master. 1852 by the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Ohio, where currently the Honorable Kelvin J. Davis serves as Most Worshipful Grand Master. Before I let the other brothers introduce themselves, I'd like to state that are expressed by us tonight in no way reflect the views and opinions of the Grand Lodges and lodges in which we hold membership in. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them on our Facebook page, chat option on YouTube. At this time, I'll let the other brethren introduce themselves.
Good evening. My name is Past Master Dave Gilliron. I'm a member of Mount Pisgah Lodge number 53, located in Columbus, Georgia, where Cornelius Wilson serves as our worshipful master. And I also have the pleasure of serving as the worshipful grand historian for the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia, where the Honorable Bruce A. James serves as our Most Worshipful Grand Master. It's a pleasure to be with y'all tonight.
Beautiful. Happy holidays, everybody. My name is James R. Morgan III. I'm a past master of Corinthian Lodge number 18 here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. I'm also having the pleasure and the honor of serving as the Worshipful Associate Grand Historian of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia, where the Honorable Philip David is our Most Worshipful Grand Master. All is well with Freemasonry here in the nation's capital. And I'm proud to say I'm a newly crowned past commander-in-chief also of James Banyard Constitution number 11. Has nothing to do with the Blue Lodge, but I just wanted to make sure I threw that in there. Over to you, Ken.
Outstanding. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ken Collins. I serve as the Worshipful Grand Historian for the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Alabama. I'm a member of Pride of North Birmingham Lodge number 319, where Tim Sanford serves as our Worshipful Master. I want to send as usual, a salute to Corey D. Hawkins, who serves as our Grand Master, who has given a lot of support to what we're doing here on the Prince Hall Think Tank, and the brothers in jurisdiction for continuing to give us a little bit of support. We appreciate you.
And we also have Brother Black somewhere. He's getting on right now, so he should be joining us, excuse me, shortly. All right. So tonight, we wanted to really take a look back at 2017 and some of the shows that we did this year. We wanted to have a year in review since, we're nearing the end of 2017. And in 2017, if you combine the views that all of our shows had, they've been viewed over 18,000 times. So, all of the 11 previous shows combined, we've had 18,000 views. So we've reached a lot of people with the various topics and what we're trying to do here at the think tank. So we had a lot of interesting topics this year, dealing with a variety of things. And we also had a lot of great guests as well that added on to the knowledge that was given. And I wanted to take time to really thank those folks that took time out of their busy schedules and joined us this year. And again, like I said, provided their insight on the various topics that we had. So without further ado, let's get started talking about our favorite shows and topics of 2017. We'll start with Brother Gilliron.
All right. I had so many. The Florida episode was definitely a favorite. The two great shows we did about the National Grand Lodge were up there as well. The show we had Brother Hairston on, where we talked about the history of African Lodge and Prince Hall himself. But I think my personal favorite had to be Light Out of Darkness, where we had on Brother Marlon Honeywell out of Most Worshipful Union Grand Lodge of Florida. Brother Honeywell did his thing. That's my classmate, my the 33rd degree. And he did his thing. The feedback that we got from that show was amazing. I learned so much just by listening to his presentation. That's one episode that I've watched multiple times. It was outstanding to me. If I had to pick just one, that would be my favorite episode of the year.
Okay. What was it about? I guess diving into doing a little the deep dive into it in regards to Florida, because that in our meeting prior to the meeting that came up. What was it particularly about Florida? And also, as I said earlier, too, guests, if you have any, what were your favorite shows as well, and any questions about particular episodes that you may have, please post those as well. But in particular about Florida, it's always interesting about your own lodge and jurisdiction, hopefully. And so it's always great to hear about the history of other lodges and other jurisdictions, because within Masonic history and how a lot of our grand lodges were formed, it's a puzzle. We all fit together. So what was it particular about Florida that really, I guess, piqued your interest in, and as well as the other brothers as well?
Well, that Florida episode for me, it was, I guess it was kind of intense or kind of deep, because we had a whole version of Florida history that had never been talked about, that include their first Grand Master, Joseph Robert Love, who also became Grand Master in Georgia of our second Grand Lodge that formed here. That's a whole nother story that we're going to cover on, I'm pretty sure, on a future episode. And then it was learning how many different Grand Lodges, such as Georgia, we chartered a lodge there, Alabama chartered a lodge there, Pennsylvania, we had so many Grand Lodges, chartered lodges in Florida, and their history was so complex because when the two Grand Lodges merged, they kept the same name as the second Grand Lodge they had formed there. So that made the history more confusing as to why we got to the point where we're at now. And it was just so much that we learned about dwelling into Florida history.
Okay. All right. Brother Morgan, what about you?
I would say regarding the Florida episode specifically, that was an enjoyable thing for me. And I honestly, I've been going back, not just because we were going to talk about that tonight, but in my own research, even now, I found that one to have a lot of just be chock full of a ton of information. I definitely want to again thank Brother Honeywell for that. I actually spoke to him today, ironically enough, and he said he promised me he would sign on and check us out this evening. So I want to thank him for being out there as well, Brother Honeywell. Shout out to you. Outside of that, I definitely enjoyed the National Grand Lodge episode. At the time, I was working on publishing my most recent piece in the Flaxus, which talked about the Compact Grand Lodge in Kansas. So I was really passionate about that. I definitely want to make sure that I highlight for folks one episode that we really that I really want people to pay special attention to, which is the episode where we had Brother or Past Master James Young on back in May. Seems like yesterday, but it was back in May when we talked about the Prince Hall Monument. I thought that was something that was particularly personal for me, because the Prince Hall Monument was erected same year I became a Master Mason, so I kind of don't know Masonry without there being a Prince Hall Monument. But so to learn about the politics that went on behind it to get it done, and the difficulties and challenges that were faced was something that I definitely enjoyed and appreciated immensely. For sure, Brother Young was as the person who spearheaded it, was very, very informative in that way. Lastly, I definitely would be remiss if I didn't talk about the higher learning episode. We highlighted HBCUs. That episode was supposed to be in September. We moved it to October. As you all remember, I lost my grandfather that month. And so, I appreciate you guys so much, not only my co-panelists, but our viewers for being patient and respecting that. And I can't thank you guys enough. But as a Howard graduate, even though Past Master Doug Evans is from that other HBCU down there in in that other state down there in Georgia, that Morehouse, whatever that is. That was truly a pleasure to have him on. I learned so much, and if y'all go back and watch that episode, see, Brother Evans might have missed his call. Brother Evans supposed to be a preacher somewhere, because he was, Brother Dave, do you hear me? Brother Morgan, do you hear me? So I really enjoyed that, and again, another big shout out to him as well. I think we definitely need to explore that topic in other ways on this show and elsewhere. HBCUs are so important, and supporting them is so vital. If there's one episode I could say I would want to repeat or do like a part 2 of from this year, it would be HBCUs.
Okay. All right, Brother Collins.
Hey. I'd have to say that the show that really got my attention that I really enjoyed was the National Grand Lodge. And I say that one specifically because it's a topic that I typically try to stay away from because I was more interested in my Grand Lodge's history. But as Michael Corleone says, they keep drawing me back in, and there's so many different perspectives on the same topic that where you'll have facts on one side, you can also have facts on the opposite side, because that one topic in terms of Prince Hall Freemasonry is the linchpin that actually fractured a lot of the Black Masons' relationships throughout the country. And what I really liked about it is how, just as the title says, the rise and fall of it, how it came out of an idea just as a way for people to have uniform work, to people usurping what they were supposed to be doing. And next thing you know, it morphs into this giant organization that's not supposed to have real control. And then it gets these arms out here, it gets big, and then people start to get mad, and then the power starts to shrink down. And then you see the growth of the independent lodges. So that's the one that I really liked. I really enjoyed the conversation with Brother John Hairston over his book, because that's one thing about Freemasonry, and in particular with the history. What you think that you know right now is not something that can totally be thrown away with a person opening up a book or reading an old paper. And what we're starting to see is there's still more to the story of Prince Hall Freemasonry that's out there than what we thought it was. And the more that we keep working, the more that we're going to be able to find.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that too, a question was asked in regards to the National Grand Lodge by Brother Walters, where he said, in your opinion, or the panel's opinion, why is there so much interest, and what keeps the National Grand Lodge situation ongoing?
I'll answer that. I think that the reason why that's the case is because the National Grand Lodge, or the Compact, was so valuable and intertwined with African American Masonic history in the 1800s, no matter how you slice it. And for so long, it had not really been discussed in a broad and open way. Whether you like the idea, hate the idea, it really had not been discussed. So it's only been within the past few years, in my view, that it's really just been discussed, particularly in terms of people publishing things. I'm happy to say that I've contributed to that, where we've actually been able to really sit down with the documentation as a collective body and really go through and review what exactly happened. And the more that we've done that, we found that some of the people who we hate might have told the truth. Some of the people we love might have told a lie here or there. So it's just getting our house in order. And then there's so much intrigue with it. There's money, there's power, there's relationships and friendships that are broken, and I mean it's such a drama. I mean I've always contended that to me it would make like a great Netflix original series or something like that. I'm writing the script now. Somebody needs to call me, so we need a check cut. So yeah.
It was Narcos before Narcos,
yeah, basically. I mean, look, last thing. If you like Game of Thrones, you will love the Masonic politics of the 1800s. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll pass it on to somebody else.
All right, Brother Black. We're talking about favorite shows and topics.
Man, all of them I did thoroughly enjoy, even though some of those shows I wasn't able to be on. But the one show that really really kind of set it off for me was actually the show that we did on the Shrine. One of the main reasons that set me off is because I love the work that they do with the National Diabetes Initiative. Me, having diabetes myself, it was real interesting to see, steps they had taken to further, the collective knowledge of of how diabetes occurs, what steps that someone can take to and not for not get out of hand. I mean, always live with that fear, that someday, I might, go into a diabetic coma, or something like that. So, it just made me understand that life, you have to take good care of your health, and that comes first. I mean, any of us who has any loved ones and things like that, you don't want to be called away, called home, just because you were hard headed and didn't take care of yourself. So that episode right there and made me get in touch, with our local shrine and show interest, and I'll be petitioning whenever that time comes, whenever they let me to join the shrine, and hopefully, when I get there, if I'm accepted, then I can get to work, on that and helping with that National Diabetes Initiative or whatever work they have to do. That organization right there is, like I said, it is with the National Diabetes Initiative. It is very, very near and dear to my heart. I've lost several family members, and like I said, any awareness that I can bring from a first-hand standpoint, I'm going to enjoy helping out with that.
Most definitely. So for me, since I wasn't on most of the episodes this year, I guess I found enjoyment, and also, while I wasn't on the shows, I did help craft the flyers that we do, or the flyers that we put out advertising the shows each month. And it's interesting when the brothers come up with the topic that they like to cover, I always think about it for a while. I'm a very visual person, and my thing with this season, it's like, how can we convey what we want to discuss and what we want to talk about just with a visual picture? So, for instance, when we did the episode about the National Grand Lodge and or the split that occurred, the rise and fall, it was part 2, the Brotherhood divided. With that, I wanted to really have, we had some central characters within that split. But then I thought about Prince Hall, and like, what would Prince Hall be thinking, or where would he be positioned within that conversation? Obviously, he wasn't around when that occurred, so that's why I wanted to really put his headstone, or the marker on his grave right in the middle, and have a split and a divide between the two to really illustrate the point. And it's interesting how with it, shoot it to the brothers, what do you think? They'll yay or nay it, and we'll put it out there. And then it's just when they start the conversations, and trust me, we don't plan it this way, but it works out to where they really capture with the information that they're putting out what I try to illustrate within the flyer. So again, everything, with the think tank, we try to be organic, try to go with the feeling and what's on our mind, while still providing well researched information, and to all the viewers and everything. So I've enjoyed doing the various advertisements of the flyers for our various shows, Again, just to drive home the point of what we're trying to illustrate and what we're trying to get across to the viewers.
And can I say something too, Brother Kathy? Because what you've done has been thankless work, and I want to definitely thank you. I'm sure I'll speak for everybody else when I say that, because those flyers have been crucial, obviously, for advertising and other things. But also, to me, they really do kind of serve as like, visual reminders without having to watch each episode. They serve as visual reminders for me. I'm thinking back to the very first episode we did this year when we talked about mentoring in the craft with Brother Kevin Mordali out of New York jurisdiction. It was Swearing to Work. Well, I think was the tagline we used. And how you put, something simple, passing the baton on, right? But the thing that struck me so much about that visually, and I don't believe you and I spoke about this before, was that it reminded me of the cover of Black Square and Compass. If anybody's read that book, I'm sure some of our viewers have. If you haven't, you need to check it out. But on the cover of that, it's like, you see one hand passing a book on, I think it's a book of Constitutions or something, on to another hand, another generation. And that's really what, Freemasonry, Prince Hall Masonry in particular, is a passed down tradition. Same way you pass a baton in a race. Well, this is exactly what organizations like this one are. It's passed on from one generation to another, from age to age, and all that type of stuff. And I think that really stuck out to me almost as much as the content that Brother Wardali brought when we talked about mentorship and the importance of having our lodges organized in a manner which each generation is helping the next one climb to higher heights. So definitely thank you for that, because your service is definitely necessary.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it's that episode itself. That episode really stood out to me as well. Just because I think we are firm believers in trying to build that bridge for the next generation. Like with all the time we put into researching and putting out information, it's not just we don't do it just to do it. There's a purpose behind it, and it's to inform both the current brothers and sisters or whomever that may be inside of a lodge hall right now, and also looking ahead for those future generations, because each episode it's saved, it's archived. I mean, you can go on our YouTube page, and there over the past several years, all of the episodes that we've ever done are on there, and it's preserved, and it's there to, in the age of social media and how people communicate, you can just click a video and send it, or get the link and send it to someone. If you have a lodge meeting and you're looking for something to discuss or show during a meeting, you can obviously definitely view one of our episodes to spark the conversation, and that's what the think tank is all about. It's just about the conversation shouldn't end when we all get off the air within our lodges or various people asking questions here. The purpose is to take the information back that we provide on the show, take it back in your meetings and have a discussion about it. Have a monthly gathering of brothers outside of the meeting to have a conversation about a topic that we may bring up, or even a topic that you may be interested in. But the thing is just starting the conversation, and you'll be surprised at, I think it's been said on some of the episodes, and we've said it here a couple times. You'd be surprised if you start, if you put together a program of good, sound, and wholesome Masonic education within your lodges, you'll be surprised at the attendance and how your attendance will pick up in your meetings if you put that out and let brothers know that you're doing that. So that's my little soapbox on Masonic education, that I often
Brother Kathy, you mentioned all these previous episodes of the Prince Hall thing, right?
Yes.
But for not only for those, but also for future episodes, I think it's helpful if we remind everybody to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to Prince Hall Think Tank so you get all the updates for future episodes as well. I just wanted to make sure I threw that out as a shameless plug.
Thank you, good brother. And that was actually scripted too. We wanted him to do that at that particular time, so we practiced it and he nailed it. So thank you.
As long as the check arrives when you said it was going to arrive, because I know on a couple of them, I haven't gotten yet. But
what had happened was
that's black culture.
All right. So with that, also we wanted to talk about, so that's 2017. We have a lot of exciting things happening, both as the think tank and also within our own personal Masonic. Well, so just quickly going around the circle again. We'll start out with Brother Black. What's on your personal Masonic Trestle board in 2018? What are you working on, good brother?
Man, just to continue to improve myself, in masonry. Also, I will be having a book released later on in 2018. It will be the history of the Lone Star Grand Commandery of Knights Templar Prince Hall affiliation.
Okay.
That will be the our beginning, where we come from. Of course, it will detail our past right name and the Grand Commanders. And it's actually going to be a very exciting book. No one's ever written anything about it. It's one thing I can tell you, as a researcher, boy, if you don't have your head on a swivel, you'll miss a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some things, you have to look for names being printed incorrectly. You have to make sure that, when you're reading other jurisdictional records, that you actually know what they're talking about. And you have to make sure that when you're writing your book, you can't really you can't leave any gaps in it. You know what I mean? But history is history, and I plan on telling it the way it is. My right name and the Grand Commander, Ronald D. Jarrett, he's already given me the go on it. So hey, I'm all in on it.
Yeah. Thank you, good brother. And just as a side note, before we go to Brother Collins, please support these authors that are coming out with these books, that are writing these books for our benefit. Go ahead and purchase them and read them. As one of the other things we do too, that we've done, is highlight various authors throughout the years, and we'll continue to do that as well. So go ahead and support these brothers. All right, Brother Collins, what you working on?
Feel like I'm getting old. I got to find that little button. Turn the heat off. As I talked about, we talk about it all the time. I'm a bibliophile, so I have books laying around everywhere, and a lot of times, a lot of our viewers and some of the chat rooms that we end up find ourselves in, as historians, we end up talking about a particular book. And what happens is we get 1,001 requests for, do you have a copy of that book? Can you send it in a PDF? And in order for the think tank to try to accommodate some of those requests, we talked about it before, but it's a tedious process. We're going to be republishing some of the main printed documents and works on Prince Hall Freemasonry. All of them are not correct. That's the disclaimer we have to have out there. That's where you, as the new or the novice researcher, have to be able to review the information and then go in. But what I really wanted to do in terms of this project is make sure that we get the things into people's hands. That way they say, well, I don't know where to get it. I can't get it. How can I get a copy of it? We're going to get these books. We're going to put them in. We're going to put multiple books in under one title. Under a series of volumes. That way we can get some of the main works on, Prince Hall Freemasonry in the hands of the public. Another project I'm still working on in terms of Prince Hall Masonry is on the Scottish Rite, and still trying to collect as much information on the Scottish Rite because we've been doing a great deal and spending a great deal of time on that. And last but not least, the creme de la creme, my coup de grace, my magnum opus will be the history of African American Freemasonry. African American Freemasonry in the heart of Dixie. It's going to be the history of the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Alabama. And we're going to be taking an insightful look at how Prince Hall Freemasonry came to the Yellowhammer State and how it progressed coming out of both Louisiana via Ohio, and how we've become what some consider one of the stronger jurisdictions in Prince Hall Freemasonry.
All right, good shot. Brother Morgan.
Well, I'm a past master and a past commander in chief now. I can just sit down and just sip my my drink and right. Oh, no, I can't do that, because if I did that, then we wouldn't be the Prince Hall think tank, right? Right. At this past Grand Lodge session, I learned a valuable lesson. The reward for hard work is more work. I was newly named as the newly appointed chairman for the recognition committee for my Grand Lodge. Thank you. So, that's a lot of work. I'm not going to get into all the specifics, projects, and things that we're going to do, but y'all just be on the lookout for it. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. Continue to support my Grand Lodge. From a scholarly perspective, I'm currently working on a Masonic paper regarding the AME Church and Prince Hall Masonry, specifically with Bishop Henry Meneal Turner. So y'all be on the lookout for that. Obviously, we're getting ready for the Philaxis annual session, which is coming here to Washington, D.C. So if you haven't registered, get registered and come on out to that as well. I'm doing some work with my Grand Lodge. We're also hosting the Conference of Grand Masters, so I'm doing some work kind of behind the scenes on that also. If you're not a Grand Master or whatever, that's cool. You can still come if you want to come on out, and particularly DC brothers and sisters. So we're doing that as well. And I'm actually in the early stages of working on my own book entitled Society Men. It's going to focus not just on Freemasonry, but on African American benevolent and fraternal organizations as a whole, as a movement in the 1800s. So when that comes out, you guys should check that out as well. And I just want to say, I'm just so proud to see all these young, handsome, strapping black men. We all writing books, and we're reading and reviewing books and doing. Make sure I shout you guys out, man, because I've always, even though I've been on think tank from the beginning, I'm still the youngest of the group. So to be around such distinguished gentlemen as yourselves, it really inspires me. So I want to, definitely give you guys your for all these projects. Have to be along for the ride.
No doubt. Brother Gillarm.
Yeah. One of the things, as Brother Collins stated, was the continued work with the history of this United Supreme Council Southern Jurisdiction. So we're always compiling and putting together stuff for that. I don't know if a history book will ever be compiled out of this. That's above my pay grade. But if Brother Collins give me the word to start working on it, that's what I do. We do have me and him do have an upcoming presentation at the Georgia Council Deliberation, where we're going to cover United Supreme Council history as well as history of Scottish Rite in the state of Georgia. We have the book, The Lodge of Perfection, that we've been working on for quite some time. We're going to cover the Prince Hall affiliated Scottish Rite rituals. And the biggest project, I guess the one that gives me the most headaches, is the book From Sims to James. I had to take a recommendation from Brother Joe Snow. This was in previous Grand Lodge proceedings, where he decided the best way to do this is to break it down into 2 sections. So that's what I'm looking at doing. The section that gives me the hardest portion is after 1901 and trying to track past Grandmaster James Sims. Because this guy was all over the country doing all sorts of things. And I had to figure out why he wasn't listed in returns of his lodge, and Finding out why he wasn't listed was a bigger issue. So yes, it's definitely been a challenge. When I was talking to Brother Morgan the other day, and I was telling the issues that I was facing, and one thing this getting the book out has been talked about since past Grandmaster Dobbs was in office. He had intentions on writing the first one, then he passed away. So it's been a long time coming for this Georgia history book, and I'm trying to model it after Brother Andrew's book, and it is a challenge. I want to put out as much complete information as possible, and I know in future years there is going to be another author that's going to come behind me and find all kind of great Georgia information and compile his own book. But when I want this to hit the presses, I want you to be blown away. So that's my biggest project for 2018.
All right, thank you, good brother.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a couple things myself. One, I'm trying to compile the all of the CCFC reports for past Grandmaster William T. Boyd of Ohio, which we'll be covering in a future episode. But it's amazing that during that time period, before social media, how he was able to really have the pulse of, or know the pulse of what's going on, have his finger on the pulse of what's going on in a lot of jurisdictions, both Prince Hall, Mainstream, and National Grand Lodge, and how he detailed and gave a detailed report each Grand Lodge session about what was going on in every jurisdiction, and also provided his opinion, which was sometimes very, very, very insightful for a variety of reasons on what was going on too. So I like to compile all of that and put that out in some type of volume or some type of publication, because it not only impacted Ohio or spoke to what was going on here, but it also delved into what was going on in a lot of our other jurisdictions as well. I definitely want to travel more now that I'm back. So I've been trying to get up to New York for, I think, about 10 years now. So I plan on coming up to New York and visiting some brothers up there, getting down to DC and other jurisdictions as well, just to travel more and fellowship. I've started, I think a couple years ago, I started working on a book, Instruction. And then before I knew it, that book turned into the Masonic Education Program for the jurisdiction of Ohio. So I want to go back to that specific section because there's some other stuff that I've discovered and some other things that I've researched, because candidate instruction is near and dear to my heart. So I want to put together something like that. And I started a couple months ago actually working on a children's book on Prince Hall Freemasonry as well, after having a conversation with my son and my daughter about, because they're a little older now, but I can remember them saying, Daddy's putting on his black suit again. Daddy, you're about to go, to a meeting with your brothers, and us having a conversation about that. So I really want to put together a children's book that talks about Prince Hall Freemasonry.
That is a $1 million idea, my brother.
But my disclaimer, I've never written a children's book before. So I know it'll have to be edited, because some people look at that like, you can't say that to kids, or kids can't read that. So I have to make sure that it's kid appropriate, once I put it out. But I definitely want to, because it's about taking this institution that we're all members of and introducing it at a very, very early age to young folks, and talking about the history behind it. It should be, they should know about it. So I definitely look forward to doing that and talking about that. And then we have a lot of exciting lodge activities taking place next year too, that our worshipful master, who's a very progressive brother, and he's putting together. His trestle board is amazing. So I'm looking forward to participating in that as well. All right. So I think most of the questions we answered during the earlier segment. There was one where it said that I wanted to cover if I can understand what I think the question he's asking, in light of what Brother Morgan brilliantly stated earlier, does that mean the overall focus of the Prince Hall think tank to move forward as a collective in Freemasonry? I didn't.
If I understand what that brother is saying, I think the Prince Hall think tank has always been a collective. This is not just something that we do. This is everybody who's involved in Prince Hall Freemasonry, as well as the Order of the Eastern Star and whatnot. If you're a viewer, if you're doing something positive for the Prince Hall affiliated Masonic family, as far as I'm concerned, you are a part of the Prince Hall think tank. As long as you're doing something positive, something uplifting, and something that is quantitative. We don't here at the Prince Hall think tank. One thing we don't do, we don't just want to have people who are talking about something that they think or whatever. We want you to put your thoughts into action. We want you to take the theory and put it into practice. That's what we're about. And so one thing that I hope people notice with a lot of our guests is not so much that there's big eyes and little U's, but we try to have people on that have accomplished things so that when you accomplish something, then you can come on. And one of my personal goals, and I think I share this with everybody else in the past, is one of my personal goals for the Prince Hall think tank, the show, is that eventually we'll be able to pass it on to somebody else, to another generation of people as time goes on, and they'll keep it going. This is not just a Dave, Ken, James, Curtis, and Antonio and brother brother Preston. This is not just us. This is a collective. It is a collective as far as I'm concerned. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay. And then someone also had a question in regards to, and maybe this was stated on a previous show, did the episode about the Divine Nine ever happen? Which I guess the obvious question is, or answer is no. But I think with that particular topic, because, in the various groups I know that I'm a member of, I'll see that pop up from time to time in regards to the connection that Prince Hall Freemasonry has with the various Black Greek letter organizations. And I think if that topic was to be covered in the future, I think we'd have to make sure that we took particular care with how we presented that information, and again, given some of the conversations that I've seen, and the conversations aren't new, the conversations have been around forever. I think some type of useful information from a historical context is good, but we want to make sure, and Brother Morgan alluded to it, when we put out information, or when we, when we put out information, we want to make sure that it's right, exact, and correct, and that it can be used not only for this generation, but the next generation and the generation after that. So we're building an encyclopedia of Masonic knowledge with the think tank, that can be referred back to, forever, hopefully. So we want to make sure that we take our time and do topics right, and do the justice that they deserve. All right. So closing thoughts. We're going to wrap up a little early tonight. Closing thoughts in regards to the shows and everything. Let's start out with Brother Gilmore.
Well, we did have one other question.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
And the brother asked, when were we going to have Brother Damian Jack back on the Prince Hall think tank?
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon. That brother, and I owe that brother. I keep saying I need to go ahead and purchase those books, and I'm going to do it, Brother Jack. I am. I've read some of it, but I'm definitely going to do that. But yeah, we definitely need to have that brother on soon.
All right. Parting comments. I couldn't forget this. I had to break out Ray Charles. George is on my mind. That's gonna be my theme music.
It is so petty.
Like so petty, so petty.
Like really, Dave.
Well, the series, no, this has been a great year. Being going all over the country, from coast to coast, and running the brothers, saying that they have viewed that they watched every episode of the Prince Hall Think Tank. I mean, it's just an amazing feeling. I know when I started this, I didn't really think that, we was going to impact as many people as we have. But then to have brothers who don't know you, like I was in NTC in California, and a brother walked up and said, "Oh, your brother Dave Gillarm." I mean, it was, I don't know, it was kind of took me back, kind of humbled me even more on how important the Prince Hall Think Tank is to Prince Hall education. So, in part, I just want to thank everybody for your support. I got on one of my favorite hats. Love the 10th Mountain Division. I'm glad I'm not there right now because it's probably like -2 degrees or some kind of craziness up there. And as always, I don't know how excited you are, but I am excited about this year's New York Knicks. We've been going off. We're going to be in the playoffs. We got rid of Carmelo Anthony, and we just been up ever since. The unicorn has been doing his thing. Once T.L. Hardaway Jr. gets back healthy, we're gonna make some moves in the East. So as always, cheer on your New York Knicks.
Hey, Brother Morgan, before you comment, yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention earlier. So when viewing my favorite parts of all the shows were Brother Gillarm's Sports Minute. To give his Sports Minute, about what's going on with his teams.
That brother be holding on to hope, boy. I tell you.
Hey, you see, I'm wearing my 2011 St. Louis Cardinals championship ring right now. I'm telling you, this is serious.
Brother Morgan.
Lesson here, kids, and the lesson here, kids, is do not drink and YouTube at the same time. So I'm gonna say on that one. Hey, listen, everybody, this has been a great season. I wish everybody the best. I hope everybody had a good, happy, Merry Christmas and Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, all of that good stuff. I did want to make sure, and I would be remiss if I did not do this. So y'all bear with me 1 second. Hold on once. I hope y'all can. Y'all see this? Y'all see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We lost 2 giants in Prince Hall Freemasonry this week. I wanted to make sure we mentioned Most Worshipful Past Grandmaster James Rocky Dallas of the jurisdiction of Washington State. I know he was very big, particularly in the York Rite as well as the Phylactis Society. I never personally had the opportunity to meet him. I met several people. Well, I know several people who were greatly influenced by him, and I wanted to make sure that we mentioned him as well as one of those kind of tall cedars that has since gone on to his reward. I want to send out a prayer to him and to his family in their hour of bereavement. I also wanted to mention somebody who most of you all probably don't know, but if you see the picture there, you see me about a year or two ago when I was Worshipful Master. That is Brother Randolph Bell of my lodge, Corinthian 18. He was actually the oldest and longest serving member of Corinthian Lodge number 18. He was actually born in 1916, the year that my lodge was established. And just a quick note about Brother Bell, I posted it on Facebook earlier. When I first became Worshipful Master, when I started going through the roster of our members, I'm going to take you guys off screen share. I went through the roster of members of Corinthian, and I noticed his brother. I never had met him. He hadn't come out to lodge in a number of years, but I noticed his dues were paid. I saw his date of birth, and I saw when he was raised, which was September of 1946. And I reached out to him through the, got his number from the secretary and said, "Hey, Brother Bell, I'm the new Worshipful Master. You don't have to pay dues. We'll work. We can take care of that. But your age and you've been in the lodge so long." And he told me something, and I want to share this particularly with our newer members. He said, "Worshipful Master, I'm gonna tell you, like I told a bunch of your predecessors. When I came in this lodge, we were taught that real Master Masons pay their dues.
Mm.
And so that's what my voucher taught me. That's what I do, and I can't come to the lodge like I would like to, but I'm gonna pay my dues until the day I die. And I'm gonna tell you one thing about this brother. He was uh, he was a graduate of Juilliard. He was an accomplished musician in both jazz and gospel. He grew up with Duke Ellington, and I had the opportunity with my lodge brothers when I was master of the lodge. Matter of fact, around the time that we started the Prince Hall think tank, now I think about it, to sit down with him and several other lodge brothers at his home and to record and get the information from him directly about how he grew up with Duke Ellington, played in the band as backing up Duke Ellington, all these type of things. You know, how he had a successful career in gospel music, won several awards, music awards, and I think he got a Grammy as well. He was just an accomplished brother. But one thing he was very, very strict on, even though I'm not master of my lodge anymore, up until as recently as last month, that brother was still calling about his dues card and making sure that we knew that his dues money was in the mail. And I'm sorry to take up so much time on this, but I can't stress enough how dedicated he was, how much that brother loved Freemasonry. And, you know, I'm just so sorry to see him go, but I'm happy that he's no longer suffering. And I want to just make sure I share that and pass it on with the world. Anybody watching this episode, if you're a brother or a sister, make sure you pay your dues, because I know that that brother paid his dues, but now he's receiving his just reward. Other than that, Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you for that, Brother Morgan. Brother Collins.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a great year with the Prince Hall Think Tank. We're going to close this year out right. Alabama Crimson Tide will be playing Clemson. Good though, fellas, as usual. It's been great. It's been great to be on with everybody. I love each and every one of you guys. To our viewers that are out there, when you guys come up and they say, "Are you XYZ?" and it's so odd that, how do you know me? And they said, "We watch the Think Tank." I'm like, you know, I'm in different states. I'm in Florida, I'm in Indiana, I'm in Georgia, Ohio, Tennessee, and people know the Think Tank, and we thank each of our viewers for recommending folks to watch the Prince Hall Think Tank. We want to thank everybody for your continued support of what we're doing. And again, all we're trying to do is get more information out there. So as usual, signing off for 2018. If you see a book, read it. After you're done, give it to somebody else and take notes and tell people about it. So have a great, we wish you happy holidays, a happy new year, and we're looking forward to what we can do, what we'll see in 2018.
Thank you.
Can I say one thing? I'm sorry, Brother Black. Can I say one thing? The difference, I want y'all to know, the fans, the difference between Ken and Dave is very simple. If you call Dave after the Knicks lose, Dave picks up the phone because he's used to it. But if you call Ken when Alabama lose a football game, he don't pick up for about a week. I just want y'all to know that that's the difference between Ken and Dave. Back to you, Curtis.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me on the Prince Hall Think Tank show. It has been one heck of a year for me. When I was first approached, I was just like, I've never been on a show. I'm used to talking to people, but when you see that you have all these different viewers, because we can see how many people are viewing and stuff like that. Level. I remember the first time I literally froze and told everybody, said, second, man, give me at least about another 30 minutes. They'd be like, no. The show is about to start. And man, for these brothers, to weather the storm, get a little bit more comfortable with it. I appreciate everybody who supported us. I mean, look good, we support you. Look for more, more great things from the Prince Hall Think Tank. We look forward to, your continued questions, your comments. We're not perfect by a long shot. Strive for perfection, in our daily lives. happy New Year to you all. I hope everyone had a blessed Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, and and I'm signing off.
Thank you, good brother. Thanks, brothers. And I once again like to thank all the viewers for making the Think Tank a success. I'd like to thank everyone for believing in what we've been trying to do with the Think Tank. Lastly, I'd like to thank brothers Gillarm, Morgan, Collins, Black for providing the viewers each month with profound enlightenment, as I said earlier, the work that they put in regarding the various subjects that we talk about is amazing. So thank you, good brothers, for doing that this year. And thanks for joining us tonight as well. We hope you gained a little insight, and we hope you join us for future broadcasts of the Prince Hall Think Tank. Have a good evening, and remember, let's teach masonry in our lodges. Good evening.